You're listening to Fandom with your host, RJ Skeens, and my co host,
Patrick Jorgenson, the sick kid.
and our guest,
What up? I'm Marcus Laurienti.
where we take a deep dive into all things pop culture and fandom related. This week, we're going to take a dive into Demon Slayer.
Hell yeah. Love Demon Slayer.
Dude, Demon Slayer is honestly by far, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to say it's my favorite anime.
Is it?
I'm going to just say,
huh?
yeah, I think it's my favorite anime.
Really? It tops Attack on Titan.
I got very Attack on Titan vibes.
Attack on Titan is awesome, and just like a lot of it's dark.
Yeah,
not the content is dark, but it is dark. But like a lot of the animation's dark. I like how vibrant Slayer is. It's very eye-catching and very popping. Attack on Titan. I mean, it's Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan are my top three.
I feel like one day we should compare the two side by side just to see what they bring to the table. But honestly, they are pretty neck and neck for me as well.
I have to say from the same deal for me too, even though I've just started the Demon Slayer one, but only because it gave me the Attack on Titan vibes that I like. Why I got so into Attack on Titan was just like that visceral like fear of what the heck the Titans were. And then this one's kind of like knowing that there's these demonic entities in the woods that are just going to come out and just, you're like, well, how the hell am I supposed to stop that if I'm just a normal person kind of thing?
For real.
Well, in this world, I feel like there was something different that gripped me about Demon Slayer as opposed to Attack on Titan, just because originally that was like the new pillar for me when I originally watched Attack on Titan, because it had a great soundtrack, fantastic visuals, and the plot point instantly jumped out for me. But what jumped out for me about Demon Slayer right away was the likability of the characters. Like, I instantly saw Tanjiro and I was like, wow, if this kid was my son, I'd be like one lucky parent. He is like a saint. This kid
he is
literally sells charcoal to feed his family in the mountains, and he walks like miles down a snowy, blizzardy hill every day just to sell charcoal for his family so they can eat.
Yeah, he really loves his family. Holy
he is
cow,
truly, he is like the most loving and good like person and son to anybody and everyone. It's crazy.
It is kind of funny though that you say that you like that, Marcus, because to me that was like one of the things that I was just like, this is annoying. he's like, I'm just so happy I just love you guys, all you guys, and I'm like, okay,
I know you are.
That's fun. That, that's fun. Like, all right, moving on. Like until like he had to stay the night with that in the first episode with that random dude that lives down the hill who's like, dude, you've never heard about demons? And I'm like, what the nobody's told him about the demons, huh? And then all of a sudden he just goes home and everybody's massacred. Like, I was like, okay, this is getting interesting for real now. That's what captured me, because at first I'm just like, I don't know.
One of the first parts that confused me about Demon Slayer was the emphasis on Tanjiro's sense of smell. I was like,
same.
So pertinent. And I was like,
I thought he was a cat person or something weird.
And I'm just like, this must be like some sort of like power he has. But no, it's just like apparently he can smell really well. It's just like his way of like sensing demonic powers. Other people later in the show, Hashiras, they have different ways of sensing it, like through serpents or through even love and contact.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's interesting. Because what's his name? The only other guy who even touches on the smell thing, at least from what I've seen in the first 4 episodes, was his teacher guy.
Yeah,
Arokadaki.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a former Hashira. So a Hashira in this basically translates to pillars. They are like the top of the Demon Slayer core.
When Tanjiro like first finds Nezuko and that dude shows up.
Yeah.
And he's G and sends all that snow flying. Like he's a Hashira.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
He's our. Go ahead.
Let's go. I just also want to talk about like the wardrobe of the aesthetic, the wardrobe of everybody is like hilarious. Like,
I love it.
Oka,
I really like it,
Uradaki
honestly,
has
and
the
it's
fucking
historically accurate to be
really
exact. Yeah, this is from the Taisho period, I believe. Yep, the Taisho period from 1912 to 1926 in Japan. So
that's because they were talking about the periods and I didn't know. So they actually go back and they're like, this is canonical to Japan in
yeah,
this
it's pretty accurate
area.
based on just like the non-westernization of the clothing styles, the buildings. Like the first time you see westernized anything in this is Muzan when he comes in looking like Thriller.
Who is Muzan now?
Muzan is going to be the main antagonist of this
Oh,
entire
yes.
Okay.
series. He is the first demon. He basically, well, I'm not going to spoil anything because it's later on way in the manga. People who have watched the anime deserve to have their spoilers on that. But he
Thank you.
is basically the
Appreciate it.
original demon, and he can create other demons. He
Okay.
has the power to basically control any of them, read their thoughts, kill them on the spot. He is basically a dictator over the
demon
demons.
god. Weird. Because
Yep.
aren't they? Because like the last one, they were like the first demon was like 1,000 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, and that is accurate because that is when Muzan was basically first going around doing demon things, but that is for later on. The current demon that Tanjiro is dealing with at the spot that you guys are at is the hand demon, who is at the top of the mountain where the final selection takes place. I am blanking on the name of it. I believe it starts with an F. But
it's Mount Fuji something or other.
yeah,
Mount
Fujisaki or
yeah. So I want to talk about. Can we talk about like the first 4 episodes, just like overall?
Okay.
The plot, the story, like we were talking about likability. I want to talk about how all their clothes are just like, why is everything checkered? And then like the other guy has like half of a red uniform and half of a green and yellow. They all have such, to me, ridiculous clothes. It's funny.
Basically just the style back then. A lot of people wore that. You could also notice that the hairstyles are pretty similar. The men go more business cut, or if they're in the business district, then they'll have their hair up to signify that they have powers.
Show. I just haven't noticed it really, but it's only because I'm seeing all these. Because to me, it looks like Japanese anime hair.
It's pretty basic. I'm not gonna lie. They do take a lot of inspiration from other animes that have come out, like Naruto, Bleach, but yeah, you can definitely see like the inspirations from different manga, such as Gintama in this. That was the main author's inspiration to create this. Gintama was a manga based on samurais who basically try and take back their world from aliens, and it's basically like a long running Shonen Jump anime and manga.
Yeah.
But I would say that they basically try and branch together the entire era so you get a better feel for the show. It's not like you're not going to see guns blazing anywhere. You're not going to see like cars running rampant on highways and stuff. It's more like hand-to-hand combat sets the tone for the samurai and for how intense a lot of the battles are to come.
Yeah.
And you also see that in the soundtrack, which is phenomenal.
The soundtrack is really phenomenal.
I did think it was much. It was pretty interesting. It had a lot of the like that weird like choral like like weird atmospheric kind of.
When like if a demon shows up.
Yeah, or like it was just like I guess that was the music that I guess I was focusing on mostly when I noticed it, I should say.
I think that's when the music really shows up more prevalent, and it's to create that just eerie atmosphere, I feel. And I think they do a really good job.
But yeah, definitely different inspirations. They try and set battles apart from moments where you're supposed to be feeling the emotion that the character's feeling, stuff like that. But yeah, starting from episode 1, basically Nezuko or Tanjiro returns to his home, finds his family slaughtered.
Yeah.
Nezuko is the only one who he basically deems alive because she's still moving, and she goes after him, lunges at him.
Yeah,
to find out she's a demon now.
Yeah,
I just wanted to point out, like, before that, how they like just Tanjiro foreshadows everything. He's just like on his walk down. He's like, everything's gonna change. Everything could change in a moment, in the blink of an eye, just like a river and all that. It's like
this show is monologue heavy. Like,
it is. It's a lot of like inner monologue too.
Not a shot at it either. I'm just saying, like, I didn't notice that a lot of it was like that, and it's interesting too because it kind of seamlessly transitions, and it does a good way of like visually representing where it's like, you can tell that he's monologuing, and then all of a sudden he's thinking out louder than the other person. Like it's weird. It's got like a second person view of things because it's like you still have mainly the main Tanjiro's like he's the center of the thoughts, but you do get these other little snippets of like these other people like mid combat.
Yeah,
like,
when the Hishira shows up
or whatever,
and he's pointing his sword at him and he's holding Nezuko or whatever, and he's like having that whole inner monologue. And the first time I watched it, I'll be honest, I thought he was saying it out loud, and like the second or third time I watched it, I realized he was just thinking it to himself.
Yeah, like, I got through the first time, but it was like, you'd have to. It does kind of give you.
Can I ask a question, Pat?
Yeah.
Are you watching it in English or Japanese?
I've been watching it in English, but that was just because I popped it up. Oh yeah, you and your purism.
I'm not gonna be elitist. I'm not gonna do it. No, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been taking notes. It's so hard to watch it in Japanese and take notes at the same time because I have to read. It's like I've got to get that Naruto eye going. Like
I bet you eat your ramen noodles with chopsticks too.
I do.
I've got lightsaber chopsticks.
The broth with the spoon. No slurping here. It's a sin.
That's hilarious.
But that's okay. No, I thought so. It makes it easier to take notes that way. For
one more thing though, I remember before we even did or started talking about this, Marcus, you had said something about the interesting like animation styles and how they do first person POV stuff, and I noticed that they even had some tracking shots of him like walking along like rice paddies. And they actually had like, and you have to really look closely, but they like they did like a green screen comping of like actual footage of like cornrows and stuff. Like,
did they?
Yeah, I'd have to see what episode it is. But if you look,
do you think that's what they did with the snow too? Because that
could have been, because
literally when I first saw that snow pop up the first time I watched the show, I was just like, that's the kind of animation we're getting into.
I'll have to.
I'm on board.
Because like literally, I'd find the spot, but I was looking and like it's different types of. It's like different. Like it looks like corn to me, but it's supposed to be a rice
I think
paddy.
That's at the beginning of the second episode.
Yeah, I wish that I had I could just pop it up and start watching from here and just like look at it. But yeah, like I swear, and I thought that was really interesting, just how far, manga anime has kind of come from like the weird like like Pokemon, so to speak, like that very rigid
yes.
like how it's animated
bold,
and how it's
dark lines,
and then it's like very layered, and then this one is just so oddly like 3D and non 3D all at the same time.
Technology, and honestly UFO Table is right now in their bag with the technology they are utilizing to advance the anime industry. They're doing multiple projects of huge name animes, but the fact that they can implement just color design with surroundings, and they'll with the snow, for example, it seems like real snow, but what really brings it to life is how they include like actual like snow crunching under his boot, how it leaves a print everywhere they go. Any splatter
the
of blood
blood
is
stains
still
on
there.
in the snow. Yeah, it was truly it's breathtaking animation. It really
How to
is.
capture a moment, and honestly, that's one of the things that really stood out to me the first time I watched Demon Slayer. I was like, wow, I kind of want to watch. The first episode doesn't give you a great sense of what the whole show is about, but it makes you want to watch the next episode to find out.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll give it that too. That was one thing that was like, that's why I went through. At first I was like, not to get too down about the Clone Wars, but the Clone Wars was very hard to like do the first couple episodes. I don't know what it was.
It can be a little slow to get into.
But then this one was more like, I'm like, okay, because like it had that. Oh, that's the other thing. It had like the hero's journey, but the hero's journey also within those like first 2 to 3 episodes where he's training and only training, like usually they'll just be like, it's just a magical like, oh, and then 4 months later he's a freaking Jedi basically.
Right.
And this one is like, he's like, I've been working for a year and a half, and then he did like, and then he's like, now I have to take another 6 months to try to cut this rock in half. And
no,
like, holy
that's favorite things about it too.
A real
yeah, it's real. It's
yeah.
it's like really putting the emphasis on their training for their martial arts and things like that, and that's something that you're going to see as like especially a reoccurring thing coming throughout this show.
And you think about it too, like because a lot of that time, recently it feels like everybody's just like, all right, you do your training and we get the idea, you're a wizard at it, and just having like that the time frame, especially since like I started doing jiu-jitsu like 5 years ago, and like knowing how hard it was when I first started to like 2 years in, and I'm like, I feel like a whole new person, and I look like a whole new person, and I can actually like perform the things that they taught me all those years ago, even though I sucked at it for ever. And it was, I don't know, seeing that was refreshing in the sense that I'm like, this could actually happen. I can believe that Tanjiro really wants this now, because at first you're like, everybody's like, are you sure? You're a little pansy and you're not going to be able to like, you won't even like you stab the demon in the head, because the first one he fights or whatever, when he's out on the road, it's like he doesn't want to kill this thing that's like clearly just murdered like 8 people. And you're like, well, and then that actual progression of personality over time and like dedication to it. And then now he's like way more likable than he was the first 2 episodes, because then I was still in that like, oh, he's just like, I love my family, I'm doing this for my family.
Yeah, I gave you a more personal take on, because you get to see the struggles he went through, the dedication he went through. But I mean, all that training still didn't like break him into being like some who
he barely
really wants revenge.
2 years to just to start, kind of the same thing that happened with Attack on Titan, where it was like, okay guys, you just had your entire family murdered and now you really want revenge, but now you got a 2 to 4 year like combat training school that you got to go to before you even get to like go out there. And then when they went out there, they started getting slaughtered anyway. You're like,
know what it also like makes me think of a parallel to? It also makes me think of Spider-Man, like Peter Parker, going through the loss of Uncle Ben and all this understanding. Like he has all this power, but he doesn't know how to use it yet. He's still this like bumbling teenager, and he goes through all this struggle and this effort and this training of himself, to get to where he can, so he can be the hero he needs to be. Reminds me a lot.
Yeah. For me, it feels like Spider-Man's really accelerated, but that's probably just because, we've had to watch like 8 different origin stories on him.
Yeah, the movies definitely make it feel a lot really accelerated.
Yeah.
And I mean, he does get his powers right off the bat, and he is super strong, but he's still human. He still bleeds.
How to use them,
yeah, and he still gets his butt kicked in the beginning a lot.
Yeah,
but continue.
That is something that no, I think that's something that really stands out, and I think that's what really a lot of people like, why they gravitate towards certain hero's journey stories more than others. Like there's the ones that like people are already like perfectly good at what they're doing, and they just fly through the trials, and you're just like, okay, I have no stakes in this character as anything. They're a one-dimensional, so to speak. Literally the world is built around them to do their thing, versus like people who like have to like make their way through it, because like you don't want Tanjiro's journey, but at the same time, it's like he needed that sort of thing to become anything that like he would have been or that he is now.
Exactly. If he
No,
didn't go through the
absolutely.
things he did, then he wouldn't be who he is. He would still just be the kid
Yeah.
selling charcoal.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be saving the world from demons and such.
Yeah. Shall we continue on with the like plot down to because we've kind of gone off about we have first episode, second episode, he's getting taught, all these things. So in the third one, I can't really remember. Is that one was where he's actually training, right?
Yeah, that's where he is training with the spirits of Sabito and Makomo. And these are basically students that were pupils under Arokodaki who had previously went through the final selection, and they end up losing their lives somewhere on the mountain, and their spirits find their way to Tanjiro as he is training to give him more motivation to actually be able to cut through the boulder, which would signify being able to conquer anything.
Yeah, which is also like they did a little Sixth Sense on you there too, because at the beginning, I don't know, you probably maybe get alluded to it. I didn't in the first round until until Tanjiro says something to the leader guy. He's like, hey, say hello to the two kids for me or whatever.
And he's how did you know their names?
And honestly, Tanjiro's kind of in touch with a lot of otherworldly things throughout the show. You'll see that kind of how
that's pretty apparent already too, because
you have like he's like knocked out, he'll hear a family member or a friend say like, hey, wake up or do this, or it's just like an instinct he has.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that one too, because they have all those like shots where his like family's like lingering over him while he's like most of the time when he's getting his rocked by like demons in the beginning.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
And they're just giving him that extra power to go on. They're like, you can do it. Come on, Tanjiro.
You got 3 broken ribs, but you could do it.
Right on.
You've got 3 broken ribs and you're coughing up blood, but you're okay. Fight on.
Yeah, any more takes from you guys?
Not really.
I wanted to say something, a couple things about the second episode.
Yeah.
That the beginning of that first episode has me dying every single time that I watch it, with like Tanjiro being stubborn person of like, no, I'm going to give you this money. It makes me think of like, you go and give your friend a ride home and they're like, hey man, I'm going to give you some gas money. You're like, nah, dude, it's cool. It's not a big deal. And then they like insist on giving it to you and you keep telling them no. And then they end up handing it to you. You hand it back. They throw it at you. You throw it back. And then the next thing you know, you're out front of their house and they're like, all right, man, have a good one. And they like throw it inside your door and slam the door and run up to their house.
Yeah.
That's just what it makes me think of. He's like, just because Tanjiro is such a good person and he's not going to take no for an answer. He's like,
yeah, that was still in my phase of like being like, what a nerd.
He's aggressively polite.
I know
he's aggressively polite. Yeah, it's so much so.
Because wasn't that he gave like the money to some old guy and the guy was like, he hurt his hand, how fast he smacked it into his hand.
Yep. And then I made a comment when Tanjiro smells blood and makes the comment about somebody being hurt on the trail or something like that. And Nezuko's just standing there, just drooling over the people. I had the thought, I'm like, man, I think that's what I look like every time I smell lemon pepper chicken.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I do have a question about that. I guess that you guys can't really, some of you don't want to speak to it necessarily because it's probably spoilerific, but like his whole thing is that like nobody else has like been cured of demonism or like the demon blood or is she still savable because she hasn't eaten a person yet, or is that like
it hasn't been touched on in the anime yet?
Yeah,
so that'll be a plot point like way down the road.
Also, and then is the other thing is does she have like because she's kind of like, so all the other demons kind of are like, I'm a demon, and like they seem to have some kind of sort of awareness of like why they're demons. Because that one that he killed, the big one, that one like had some, he had this weird like mind meld with it where he's like, hey, you were just a boy and you loved your brother, and then something, I don't know what happened exactly, but like he kind of alluded that it had like some traumatic past thousands of years ago.
I believe that is like related to Tanjiro because yes, like Urodaki makes a comment about Tanjiro having the scent of kindness even when presented with killing a demon.
Yeah,
because Tanjiro sees the good in everybody and he still sees the humanity in the demons, and in the last moment the demons often realize that he is still giving off kindness, and he's sad that he had to do this to them. He's sad that they became a demon.
Yeah.
And I think that's all related to Tanjiro. I don't know if it is just him or if all the demons have that like revelation at the end of their death, but
yeah,
just because a lot of them do suppress their human memories and all that, it does come flowing back if they basically touch on a point that really impacted them in their life. You'll see that in later examples of the anime.
It's such good episodes.
Because like when he's talking, or he had a couple of instances where he's made his sister cry. What's her name? Nezuko. Yeah, he's made her cry because, or like he's just like, you're still in there or whatever it is. Like, because they seem to have some sort of, as demons, autonomy, and they kind of know what's going on, but she seems kind of like forced into this like weird mute animal position because of that muzzle she has.
Yeah, basically she, with her power at the stage that it's at being a demon, she's not very strong, and therefore she basically looks like a little child sometimes. She could change her size based on like how angry she is, and like that's her power. But ultimately, she can have thoughts. She does have like emotions and actions. It's just the way they want to portray her character is more silent, so that they don't really develop her into something right away. It gives her room to grow later on in the show. But as the show goes on, there is more communication and advancement with characters in that way. So, and she's not the only one.
Yeah, it is kind of funny too. You look at her eyes, and it's freaky. I don't know, like at first, because when you see her as a human, you're like, oh, there's something nice, and like you're just a regular old lady. And then the eyes make her look, I don't know if she looks like dumbstruck, or like, I don't know, she just looks like a deer in headlights kind of thing. And I'm like,
try to give her the innocent doll look.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of
they like made her out to be like a new puppy, almost. And Tanjiro even treats her that way. He like pats her on the head when she like shrinks.
Yeah, it was like good girl.
It's like good job, good girl.
She has to climb into like a little basket or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really try to capture her innocence, because I mean she was young when she became a demon, so she still has that personality and that much growth in life. But as she travels with Tanjiro, there's a lot of different changes that occur with Nezuko.
Yeah,
like she won't grow older, but she'll probably develop more like mentally and emotionally throughout. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Just being a demon, they don't age and all that. So she's definitely trying to always suppress her new demon thirsts and needs for humans and such, which is why she wears the muzzle.
Yeah.
But
she ever try to rip that thing off?
I mean, there's a moment where someone else tries to do something with them. I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't seen it in the anime, but it's kind of like, don't do that to the dog with the muzzle. It has it for a reason. Hell yeah, Demon Slayer.
Yep, fan.
Slayer, hell yeah.
Jake's the fan. Marcus is the fan. I'm the dumb. Come here for fandom.
come for fun.
I don't know how you want to leave that one.
Crazy.
Over and out.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.